Hundreds and hundreds of years ago, navigators in little small wooden ships navigated vast oceans of water to find the brave new world, discovered unknown lands, all by staring at the stars. You and I use GPS just to get to the grocery store or across town, and sometimes we still get lost. Hi, this is Barry Phillips with 10-Minute Torah, day number 1, a Torah portion, Tavo, which means when you come into. Let's go to Deuteronomy, chapter 26, and read verse 1. And it shall be when you come into the land which Yahweh your Elohim has given you as an inheritance, and you possess it and dwell in it. We're going to come in, we're going to possess, and we're going to dwell, according to the word. Last week we had the Torah portion Kitetseh. That phrase means when you go out. One way of reading that and understanding what was being stated is it referenced a time when Israel will go into exile, leaving the land. If you read Leviticus chapter 23, a little later on in the book of Deuteronomy chapter 28, other such passages, and over and again from the prophets, you will find that Yah understood that Israel would not always remain faithful to him even after they had gone into the land, and it would be necessary for them to be exiled. And so we had the Assyrians in 722 come in and take 10 of the 12 tribes, 13 if you count Levi. 10 of those tribes, the northern kingdom, they have been absent from the land of Israel since that time in 722 BC or BCE. Yehuda, the southern kingdom, the house of Yehuda to the south, actually went in about 583 BC or BCE into 70 years of Babylonian and then merged into Persian exile before a remnant of them, not all, but a remnant of them returned home and began to rebuild the land. So exile has been a part of the history of Israel. The Jews have for centuries been exiled to a variety of European countries and elsewhere, many now relocated here in the United States. The house of Israel they become lost to themselves, and they've been scattered throughout the earth for so many generations they've lost their identity. But Yah knows who every one of them happen to be and where they are, and he is recalling their hearts to the Torah, restoring us. And whether we have a physical lineage or whether we are adopted in by belief, nonetheless, there's this understanding of we need to go home. Like E.T., we're pointing home. I want to go home. Well, where is that? Well, the scripture says the land of Israel. You and I are no longer lost and wandering around in the wilderness. We're beginning to understand where our steps are, who we are, why we are where we are. At this particular moment, you can't even enter in the land of Israel to tour, let alone make aliyah and move in. The doors have been closed to that possibility all along. There is indeed coming a time when Messiah Yeshua will return to the earth, and he says in the prophets that he is going to gather us from the four corners of the earth. He is going to send his messengers to the extreme limits of the earth, and he is going to bring us back home. And there are a variety of prophetic scriptures pertaining to that, but let's stay focused on the idea of coming back home and understanding that Yah has a purpose in where we are now and where we're going. The reasonable conclusion, this is important, the reasonable conclusion to studying and applying, seeking to follow the Torah, is to expect that we will actually enter the land that the Torah describes as our inheritance. This does not mean we replace or displace one Jewish individual who are already in the land or prevent any other Jews that are scattered throughout the earth from returning home. The land of Eretz Israel It belongs to every Jew in the earth, every member of the house of Yehudah. That is a covenant reality for them. That said, the original promise given to Abraham in Bereshit or Genesis chapter number 15 is that it's going to consist of the land of Israel, or the inheritance of Israel is going to consist of the land from the river of Egypt, we assume and believe the Nile, all the way to the Euphrates, which is in modern-day Iraq. That's a large piece of territory, and it encompasses a lot of different countries that are sovereignly in existence at this moment. Yah has already decreed that this is the land of inheritance. The ancestors of Israel, when they went into the land under Yehoshua, under Joshua, did not fully realize the expanse of those borders. They have yet to be realized in any historical moment, but they are going to be realized under the rule and the reign of Yeshua, our Messiah. The whole purpose of you and I being trained in the Torah, learning the precepts and understanding what it is that the Torah requires of us, the whole purpose that we are engaged in here is learning to live in the land. Yes, it produces in us the heart and the character of Messiah. We see exactly what his focus is. We learned how to do business that is agreeable to him. We learn how to order our homes and our family structures. We learn how to worship him, which way was appealing to him and desirous by him for us to worship him. We learn the things that we're not supposed to do, the things we are to eat and the things that we're not supposed to eat, how we're to celebrate and what reasons that we celebrate. On and on, our culture is defined for us in the Torah. So then, learning to understand the Torah and what it requires of us prepares us for the eventuality that we actually end up going home. Now, there's two things that we need to be aware of in this regard. Number one is to realize that wherever we are at this moment, it is still a land of exile. Now, if we're going to be in exile, America has been traditionally a great place to be in exile. A land of freedom, a land of liberty, a land of opportunity, a land of influence and affluence, a land where one can live reasonably, peacefully, and well. Those days seem to be challenged at the present moment. And we're seeing things take place in this nation perhaps thought unthinkable or unreasonable to expect just a few years ago. My, how quickly things can change. So is Yah putting some pressure on us and causing us to begin to realize something's not right? The limitations are closing in. The walls are beginning to look a lot closer than they used to be. And wonder, is there anywhere else in the earth to go? At the moment, no. The other thing to realize then is that we have a destiny. The GPS of the Ruach HaKodesh is taking our hearts and our focus and pushing them toward a land in the Middle East. And if you've ever been to the land, you will know the experience of the land reaching up and grabbing you in your spirit, in your mind, in your affections, in your belief, realizing there's something special about this place. And I can tell you that the first time that I was in the land in 2000, I left my heart there. And I haven't been able to get back and get it yet. So I can tell you that there is a destiny. It is the land, and we have to learn to live in that land, or else the land will expel us. I don't want to go and then get kicked out. I want to learn the right way before I even get there. We got a lot of learning to do. We got a lot of training to do. May Yah help us. And this Torah portion is going to prepare us to do exactly that. More tomorrow. To then, shalom.